everybody wins.
Hi
I'm winner.
everyone, welcome to the stream. I'm Kel McDonald. I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Alina Pete. I make comics you can read at weregeek.com or alina-pete.com.
And I got this guy is drawing in my chat
Sweet.
saying, hey, lurk, lurk.
Lurk, lurk. Hey, this
Yeah,
guy.
he's lurking.
Gopher's here.
He's lurking.
Gopher says, hey. I'm
Hey!
gonna do my usual thing where I draw a silly picture of the both of us, because it's my thing. How are you feeling tonight, Kel? What's up in
Alright.
Kel world?
I
Alright.
just had some sushi, some good stuff.
Ooh. Ooh, the
Um,
good stuff. I'm
yeah.
feeling good today. I'm gonna be a puffy bird. I'm gonna be a puffy happy bird.
So, I have bad allergies and a
Oh
postnasal drip.
no.
So
Yep.
this is a constant throughout my life. Um, so if you hear me coughing, that's what it is. But I found that like the pickled ginger that comes with sushi
Oh yeah.
frequently clears my sinuses, and then I don't cough as much for like an hour or two.
Nice. Have you
So
tried
that
ginger tea? Like from
I
a
do,
Asian
I
grocery
do.
store. Oh God, I love that
I
stuff.
I have ginger. I get ginger lemon tea from the white people grocery store, and it still works.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, it's pretty
Because
good.
the Asian grocery store is not walking distance from my apartment. It's a
Right.
slightly
Whereas the white people
longer.
store,
So
it is.
yeah, I just cut through a mall and then there it is.
Nice. Yeah, we're
But
both feeling pretty good today. So I got a happy wolf and a happy bird. We're doing all right. Oh hey Chuckle Pops. Where Geek is currently on hiatus as I finish up some big freelance projects that are keeping me afloat right now. I am going to try and get the last chapter finished scripting, but you were wearing a business suit tonight. I don't know why.
I don't own a business suit, so
You're
that's
just a
odd.
wolf in a business
Uh,
suit.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street style.
I
Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna also
uh
be business. I'm gonna be business cash. I'm doing sunglasses. I'm big business
my
bird
have
now.
you ever seen the 0-star reviews of stuff on Amazon?
Oh yes,
Um,
with the Wolf of Wall Street, where it's like
my
there's
my
no
favorite
wolf.
one is yeah, my favorite one is Wolf of Wall Street, 0 stars, no actual wolves in this movie.
Yep.
Um,
I'm gonna be wearing a bolo tie, and it's got a wolf head on it. There we go.
the scandal.
That's
Um,
us, just hanging out, being business wolves.
uh,
Good job,
I
everybody.
I
I have seen
recently
Sick of Wolves. Sick of Wolves is good.
I just finished watching Mythic Quest,
Ah,
which is very funny. It's on Apple TV. I don't know if Apple TV is in Canada yet.
oh, it is. My sister-in-law has it. We just don't, because we don't do Apple products.
Well, Mythic Quest is very funny, and so next time you're visiting your sister, you should watch it.
Yeah.
It's about running a game studio
Oh,
that makes
good.
an MMO.
Oh, good.
Um, uh, and what's really good, a fun thing that they do in both seasons, and I hope that they keep it up, is kind of like in the middle of the season they do an episode that's like a self-contained short story
Oh, yeah?
that takes place in a different time period that connects to the show as a whole. Hi, Onion
Oh,
Knight.
cool.
Onion Knight's in my chat.
Oh, hey, Onion.
So so like the first season, their like little flashback episode is about the creation and end of a gaming studio, game developer that Onion Knight says hello. It's about like a game studio like in the 90s. And it's
Back in the
like a married
90s,
couple.
I was in a
So
very
it's
famous
a
TV
married
show.
couple. It's a married couple where like the wife is a super goth lady,
Nice.
And her husband is like super into her, but he's also, the one who is more business minded. And so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
make a video game together that um, is weird and unique, um, and is successful enough that they want a sequel made. And then like the husband keeps pressuring the wife for them to like sell out the image of what they were making.
Right.
Onion Knight, I'm talking about Mythic Quest, and in the first season, there's the flashback episode about Doc and Bean. Um, and so it's kind of like goes through the whole life cycle of the game
Of
developer
the
that they
game.
made.
Yeah. Nice.
And then you find out like the studio that they're working in is the same space that the current game developer that we're following
Ooh.
like rented.
Right.
So like they carved their names into the pillar. And so the in like the final episode of the first season, the main guy says to his like main programmer person that like this is the people that like had this space before us.
That's
And he's
them.
like, yeah.
That, that's cool.
Um,
I love that concept. The like the ghost of a studio that you were working in, the middle of
mhm.
their failures. Have you
Yeah.
played
So it's
Disco Elysium? I forget. I think we
I
talked
have
about
played the
this.
beginning of it.
Right.
I have not had time to finish it, but I've watched
Yeah.
many a
Let's
YouTube
plays.
video about it.
There is
So I
a
do.
abandoned game studio
Yeah,
in that game,
yeah.
which
So
is
I
fun.
did go in. I did find the abandoned game studio.
Cool.
So I do know about that.
I love that it's
And
like
I
D and
did.
D. It's they are just running a D and
I
D game, but on a weird future BBS thing.
uh I um I did talk to the dice maker.
Oh, good. Yes.
I did not get dice made because I was busy talking about how beautiful the man on the balcony is to Kim.
True. Yes. Yes. I knew we talked about that.
Yeah.
Because I
Um,
tried to do the gay playthrough, but I didn't get enough. I didn't talk about gay enough to get him
yeah, you didn't
interested in
talk
me.
about gay enough.
I need to talk
Uh,
about gay more.
you need to talk about how beautiful that man is.
He's so beautiful.
Why is he always leaving me? um, but uh, what's fun about Mythic Quest is they also like their other flashback episode is so one member of the cast is a sci-fi writer uh who won a nebula in the 70s, um and then wrote a bunch of books that were not as successful as his award-winning one.
Right.
um and so he is hired to write all the lore and the backstory for the MMO, even though he doesn't like play video games. And
Good.
he's mostly there because the guy who made the game is a big fan of his novels.
Okay.
um
Yep. Mm-hmm.
uh and so you get like a whole backstory about like him trying to break in to become a sci-fi writer.
Right.
um and it's funny because he has like he sees Pong in the window and has an epiphany about like storytelling,
Yep.
um and like comes in and says a bunch of stuff like narratives won't be a line, they'll be a lightning bolt, like going into infinite directions. And he's basically like explaining choose your own adventure books, or like the way Dragon Age and Mass Effect have their narratives work. um and the other sci-fi writers just look at the magazine he works at, just look at him and are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Good.
um
Good. That is not how I want to draw this arm. I'm fixing it.
Yeah, Onion. I really liked the episode backstory. Um, cause that character is like awful, and he's kind of like in the background, being an out of touch, like kind of creepy old man.
Good.
Um, and but and so just like seeing where he came from was fun, and yeah. And it's also funny because it's like I feel like the show did a good job of explaining like why the guy's writing is not great.
Yeah.
Um, because the thing he keeps getting complimented on is like his use of backstory.
Right.
And I feel like maybe this is me being judgy, but like I feel like a lot of people do world building and
Mm-hmm.
backstory um and as a way of procrastinating actually writing a plot.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um
Uh-huh. I say,
and
thinking
I
of like
feel like
several
yeah,
examples and wondering if I want
yeah,
to put these authors on blast.
this is fine. I'm just talking amateur writers using it
Yeah.
like, well, I have to build the world before I actually
Oh,
write my
I'm
book. And
I'm talking about professional writers with whom I have a
I'm
pet peeve.
sure I'm sure there's professional writers also that are very bad
Yes.
at this. But like yeah, like that's the thing he keeps getting, like when people have to think of a compliment for his writing in the flashback episode about him starting out, they're like, great use of backstory.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Which is kind of like a mm, kind of compliment. Oh,
it's very
Choco
much
Pops
like,
is asking me to dish the dirt here, and I feel how salty does Alina feel tonight? I'm feeling salty.
uh,
So I don't know
oh,
if you are familiar with Brandon Sanderpants or
oh,
Sanderson. Sorry.
yeah, I dislike his books because I feel like it's like reading a D&D manual.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so that's
So
not even backstory.
I
That's magic rules that he
that's
needs
well,
to
it's
explain
magic
to you.
rules, but it's also like he has a bunch of stuff that he does that's just really pet peeves of mine. I've read his first book, Elantris, and I loved it. Elantris was really really fun. He only had
I
three viewpoint characters only.
I have I
Um,
have never
and
finished a Brandon Sanderson novel. Because I
they
have
get harder
stopped.
to
Because
finish as it goes along.
yeah,
Because at a
uh,
certain point, his own fame got into his head, and he. So, the one that I gave up on, I don't even remember. It's like the World Breaker one. It's not the one about color magic. Um, but it was the one where he was like, so there's a man, and he's building a bridge because he's a slave, except the bridge is between these floating islands, and the book is like 1,000 pages long, and there's
mhm.
7 viewpoint characters,
uh,
each one of which you jump
Onion
in
Knight.
between.
Onion Knight is in the chat saying I dislike Sanderson's books because it doesn't understand racism. Um, and so and I have heard this complaint about Sanderson from Onion Knight before, and my response to it is always, "See, I didn't even get that far to
Yeah,
get to him
I
bringing
get
up
that.
racism and his
Uh-huh.
misunderstanding of it."
Thereof.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah. No, so I was sorry, I was in the middle of saying his final one, I finally got mad and was just like, nothing happened. I went through this book, and so this man is building a bridge, and there's like 7 other characters also doing things as well. But the man with the bridge, every time you go to him, he's building a bridge, and the bridge is to these floating islands. And then at the end, I was like, something's got to happen. Definitely something's got to happen. And then I got to the very end of the book because I was skipping other people's chapters and just looking at the bridge man. At the very end of it, he was like, I'm still building this bridge, but maybe we should rebel. And I'm like, a
Jesus
thousand
Christ.
pages, 1,000 pages to do this. No, none of you were telling 7 different stories at once. You finished none of them. None of them were good.
Um.
And it was just an excuse to show off your world building, which is not fun or new.
Okay. So I discovered Brandon Sanderson because I listen to Writing Excuses. and
Good.
they gave away a free audiobook short story that Brandon Sanderson wrote. It was a 3-hour audiobook, and I couldn't finish it. I got an hour in and was like, I was like, I don't care. Like you
I'm
just
done.
info dumped at me for a half hour of
Yep,
this
yep,
audiobook.
yep. Sounds about
Um,
right. Yep, yep, yep.
uh, okay, Onion Knight. To backtrack to Mythic Quest, Onion Knight said to me before we started to talk about Brandon Sanderson, the best part about Mythic Quest is the degree to which they have to appease Pooty Shoe. So there is a live streamer that live
Huh?
streams their game who is a 14-year-old boy, and they are like at the whims of this 14-year-old boy who is very clearly like a PewDiePie analogy,
Oh
except he
my
didn't shout
goodness.
anything racist during
Oh,
his
good. Well,
streams.
that's good.
So a more socially acceptable PewDiePie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's very funny that there's this whole company just dictating to the whims of a 14-year-old. Um,
Good. But he's a
uh,
14-year-old who's got viewers.
yeah,
Ah, gotta cater to
basically.
him.
Um, and then, yeah, so, anyway, Brandon Sanderson is a bad writer.
Anyway,
And
yeah, anyway, I found like his first book was very focused and polished, and as he got more and more famous, he was just like, I'm going to do the thing that I love the most, which is to build this like crazy elaborate magic thing and then tell you about it
yeah.
for far too
Well,
long.
I actually used Brandon Sanderson, the human being, as an example of like people's dialogue saying things they don't mean to say.
Mm.
Because every time they talk about magic systems, and
Yep.
Brandon Sanderson has to explain a hard magic system versus soft magic system, he
Mm-hmm.
explained it as hard magic systems are when there are like set in the stone rules, and soft magic systems are when the magic doesn't make sense. And I'm like, that's you telling on yourself that you think that hard magic rules are better for a
Mm-hmm.
story.
Also, all of your
It's
stories are entirely about what your magic system is for this book, and
right,
almost
and
nothing else.
so that's like him. That's him subconsciously revealing his bias that like
Exactly.
hard magic systems are better. So like he accidentally gives a great example of like, well, your character biases can come through in their dialogue. Example,
Yep.
Brandon Sanderson always says this. Dalmatianer says, hi, Dalmatianer. We're talking about how
Hey,
Brandon
Demotioner.
Sanderson is a bad writer.
We are
Um,
dunking on Brandon Sanderpants. That's what's happening.
and so,
That's what's going on here tonight.
I listened to Writing Excuses, and like, I wanted to like look into, the off, like all the different hosts' writings, so I knew like where their advice was coming from. Um, and it's kind of like once I, read listened to the beginning of that Brandon Sanderson book, I was like, uh, the reason why his advice is bad makes sense now.
Right.
Because there was one episode where they were talking about editing your work, and he says,
Mm.
"Well, what the way I edit my own work is I find a plot hole, and then I just write more to fill it."
Oh no.
And I was like, "That's not how editing works.
No, buddy.
Um,
No. What are you
that
talking about?
that's why your books are so needlessly long, sir."
Yes. Like,
Um,
oh, very much so. Hoo boy.
yeah.
The thing is, Elantris was actually a good book. Like, it was decent. He was on his track to becoming a good author. And then he got famous. And then he stopped being a good author and became progressively worse.
Mm-hmm.
And it killed me. Like, I'm just like, buddy, you're up your own ass. You need to stop.
Um, yeah. I never got that far in any of his shit. So, also,
It's
there's a
a problem.
writing excuses episode where they talk about moving past the gender binary.
Hmm.
And they have some non-binary guests on to like talk about writing non-binary people.
Cool. Good.
And then Brendan Sanderson um, says his thing, which he like gives an example of this story he's working on that
Oh no. Oh
um,
no.
doesn't that has doesn't have like male and female genders, and then he starts to explain the way these alien
Hmm.
races genders work, and the
Oh, good.
non-binary person just says to him, you just recreated the binary but called it something different. And he's like, no, 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 you see, mine's different because. And they're like, no, you just recreated the binary. You just
Yeah.
called it something
Yeah.
different.
Also,
Uh,
your non-binary people are all aliens. So that's
yeah.
a problem already. Buddy. Buddy.
So, uh, Onion Knight is in the chat saying, I have a pet theory that Brandon Sanderson was uniquely equipped to write stories in the era of like Animorphs and Goosebumps.
Nice.
Um, and the mix of volume plus story types he wants to tell is really suited for that era of story. Um, this the Onion Knight, I disagree because Animorphs is very well paced and is
Oh, it's
very
real good.
snappy,
Yeah,
and
it's well written.
Goosebumps, like R.L. Stine has admitted that like Goosebumps is just joke formula of setup and punchline, except like it's instead of a joke, it's a scare.
Scare, yeah.
Um,
Jump scare.
yeah. See, Onion Knight, I don't
Uh,
think he's capable of that. So Onion Knight is saying, imagine his 1,000-page books as 150-page books. And Onion Knight, I don't think he's capable of doing that. Because the other thing is Goosebumps and Animorphs, while there was an overarching plot, they were self-contained, and I don't think he's capable of that. So I fundamentally disagree because there is a snappiness to those books that he just doesn't have.
he, well, yeah, I don't know. I'm here to
Dalmatianer,
read the Wheel of Time, which I was never super into, and I know you've been watching the show, and
I only
are like
watched two
I hate it for
episodes of the
different
show and
reasons
then I was done.
because of their dumb
Uh,
gender magic, and I'm
yeah,
like I'm afraid to see what he does with someone else's magic setting that he now has to try and put his own stamp on, but also not deviate too far from because he's picking up someone else's work.
yeah.
It was beloved, and he can't
I
change
mean,
it. That
it
seems like a
has
bad.
rules. It
Yep,
has rules that,
sure
and
loves
he
the
likes
rules.
rules, so
I
he
love some
would
rules.
like those dumb gender rules.
Him,
So I don't
him, dumb. Yeah.
doubt
Well,
that
he knows
he
all about gender, don't you know, Kel?
he
He knows all
knows
about
all
genders.
about the gender binary and reinforcing it.
He super knows about genders.
Dalmatianer, the first time Alina and I were streaming, I went on a uh, rant about my reaction to the Wheel of Time TV show,
Very good.
which is basically there's nothing in it that I want,
Yeah.
because it, yeah. Dalmatianer, do you know how the magic system in Wheel of Time works? Okay, Dalmatianer, men can only learn men's magic from other
Which
men,
is
and
fighty magic.
women
It's them
can
fight
only
magic
learn women's magic
and
from
them for
other
the healing
women.
magics and house
And
magics.
well, no, it's lady magic is all about learning to be submissive and give yourself
Yeah.
over to greater powers, whereas men's magic is all about conquering and being aggressive. Yeah.
That's gross. So anyway, that's bad.
Dalmatianer, I also dislike Dune. Because I'm just not that into space eugenics. But yeah, um, while that fear is the mind killer quote is a really cool quote, I just think
A
like the
real good
rest of
quote.
Dune you
I
can
mean,
throw in the
fear,
trash.
fear is the mind killer. Got me through some real tough times as a teenager. That was my mantra whenever I was having a particularly bad, like obsessive compulsive episode. Is I would
Mm-hmm.
literally chant that to myself. So it's got a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah.
Having
Anyway,
words to
Mythic
focus on
Quest is a
that
lot
are
of
like that
fun.
is helpful,
Yeah.
actually.
Mythic Quest is a lot of fun. It sort of pokes fun at the fact that these are very common fantasy things that happen in their older writer guy.
Yeah,
Um,
which
uh,
is so true.
uh, what's funny is there's an episode where the older writer guy has not written the third book in his trilogy. Um, and like the second book came out in the 80s. He's really late. Later than George R. R. Martin. And
Yep.
his publisher is trying to like take his intellectual property rights. Um,
Right.
and so the person who is in the cast who is helping him like negotiate his way out of this, like in the middle of yelling at him for saying a bunch of problematic shit, um, uh, then realizes that she should get him on the phone with the publisher and says he is just so excited to do every interview and go on all the podcasts to promote whatever movie you want to make with this third book.
Right.
He insists on it, and then he just starts to talk, and it's like racist thing, sexist thing,
Oh,
vague
good.
sexual harassment to the girl
Oh,
that's
good.
helping him negotiate. Like, and then
Great.
she goes, "I feel like this will go great." Because do you know how it went for Orson Scott Card? Like,
Good.
um, so, uh, yeah,
Good.
so it's her using like how problematic this guy's stuff is, like as the reason why they should just leave him alone.
Good.
Um, yeah, Dalmatian or Mythic Quest is about it's on Apple TV and it's about running a game studio that runs an MMO called Mythic Quest. And one of the writers on staff is an old fantasy writer who's really just there cuz like the guy who made the game was a big fan of this guy's novels when he was a kid.
Kel, what is the thing that people cosplay as?
Um I had to fight the urge because my immediate reflex
Oh my.
reaction was Italian Nazis.
Ah!
But I'm sure
I
that you don't want to draw that. Because
especially not on a native
that's,
woman.
yeah, Dalmatianer says people cosplay the Joker.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but,
I have a
that's how I
story
used
about
to enter.
a Joker
Yeah,
cosplayer.
yeah, I know, because
You
we
were there
both
for that.
complained about that guy.
We were,
But
yeah.
I used to
You didn't get to see
entertain
Carla
myself
Pacheco's face when I told her, though. It was very good.
uh, at slow anime cons. I used to count how many Nazi cosplayers were
Oh
there.
god, so many. I remember being at
So
an anime
many.
show and being unaware of Italia, and I was like, why are there Nazis here? And everyone around me was like, oh, that's just the Italia fans. And I was like, you say that like this is not a problem.
It is a problem. It's just
They're
so
just tired of it. They're just like, whatever.
yeah.
We see this
I
all the
think my
time.
top count was 70 at a
Oh
con.
my god.
Um But I used to count Nazis or secret vampire princesses.
Oh, good. Oh,
Um,
good. Good.
because I didn't actually know the character's name. But basically, so right after college, I got a tour of the Viz offices.
Oh, cool.
And before getting the tour, I uh, had heard a thing that every company has like one property that is like 90% of their income. For example, for Nickelodeon, it's obviously SpongeBob. Like,
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Uh-huh.
um,
Yep.
so I asked like the Viz guys, like, what's your big property that keeps everything afloat? And they were like, well, for Shonen, it's Naruto, and then Vampire Knight keeps Shoujo Beat afloat. And so I was unfamiliar with Vampire Knight.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and then realized that every anime con I had been to, I had seen at least like two or three cosplayers. Because it's like,
Okay.
it's popular, but it's not like popular in the way Naruto or One Piece is.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's never like a group of them together. It's always like
Right.
one
One.
individual
One
cosplayer.
super
Um,
fan who just loves that
yeah,
show.
and
Yeah.
so
Or manga. Or
uh
yeah.
I did not remember the character's name, but I called her the secret vampire princess because that's like the reveal in the fifth volume,
Oh, gotcha.
like
Nice.
that she's secretly princess of the vampires.
Yes.
And she has been somehow turned into a human to hide her from the whatever clan or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
um Dalmatianer, it is very silly, and it's kind of all the shoujo tropes you can think of, like, in one book. So it's like, I understand why it was popular, because it's literally like, if you think of a thing that people like about a shoujo comic, it's in Vampire Knights. She has a big scythe thing.
Cool.
So if you're looking up pictures of it, she has
Oh,
a big
maybe
scythe.
I've seen. I mean, there's lots of animes with giant
She's
sites, but
she
I've
has like a
seen
black
a
schoolgirl
black.
outfit,
Yes.
and she has a giant scythe. Yes, so you have
Okay, I've
seen
seen
the
her.
secret
I've seen
vampire
her.
princess,
Yes, correct.
and you just did not know
I
it.
just did not know it.
Dalmatianer, but isn't that what Shoujo runs on? Dalmatianer is saying, I'm looking at this, and there are a lot of men with serious expressions and very slim noses.
Yes, correct.
And it's like, yes,
That's how that
that's what
shoujo
Shoujo
works.
runs on. Yeah. Um,
Mm.
and Dalmatianer is sharing a link, and I'm going to pull it up onto my stream. Yep, this is her. This is the secret vampire princess.
Oh, yes, I've seen her.
Yeah.
I've
Uh,
seen
so
her at
so
cons.
so yeah. At anime cons, I would count Hatalia Nazis and secret vampire princesses.
Good, just to
Uh,
pass the time.
yeah.
Yeah, Choco Pops, we each have our own stream. If you want, you can go to Kel's at Kel McDonald, twitch.tv/Kel McDonald, and then you can watch us
Yeah.
both. Although you'll have to mute one of us because you'll have a weird echo.
Yeah. I am drawing a comic page
Yeah, and I
while
am
we
drawing
discuss.
the promo image for a project that I want to do coming up here called
Uh,
Indigenerds.
Onion Knight is saying, oh, I know this manga, it's really bad. Onion Knight, it's like, I feel like if you told someone to make a shoujo manga by committee, like if you said, like, what's in popular shoujo manga, it's all in
Yeah,
this manga.
yeah,
Dalmatianer says that they're excited for Indigenerds.
cool.
Uh, so, hooray, Indigenerds.
Yay. I haven't even
You
done
should
a
explain what Indigenerds is
yeah.
for anyone who is unaware.
It is going to be a anthology where we are going to do stories of modern native life. So like it'll be like trying to organize people meeting up on the Powwow Trail by like using like a Discord channel and stuff, or stories about people who are creating really funky LED lit like powwow regalia. Like those kind of stories of like the synthesis of modern life and traditional native life. That's the sort of stuff we're looking for. So I am
Yeah.
doing a promo image that's a bunch of native cosplayers because I think
Yeah. Maybe
that's
one
kind of
should
the
be a
vibe we're
secret
going for.
vampire princess.
Excellent.
Um,
I'm putting fangs on the lady in front.
good.
She's a
Uh,
secret vampire. Actually, I could vamp her up a little bit if we want to get a little sexy here. I can give her some cleavage because like people like a sexy auntie.
give her a Elvira look.
Yeah.
Onion Knight is sharing that a friend of his is working on the new Proud Family, so that's cool.
Oh, cool.
I didn't know that there was a new Proud Family, but I'm not surprised because Disney is like rebooting everything, so
Yeah.
that makes sense that they would. So that's good. Um, Other shit that I watched on Apple TV is I watched Severance,
Oh.
which is about it's a sci-fi show where people have this procedure where when they're outside of work they don't remember what happened at work, and when they're inside of work they don't remember what happened outside of work.
Oh no, I hate
um
it. Oh, I hate it.
yeah. So it's like everyone who works in the office has no idea what the outside world is like and what their
Right.
life is like outside the office, because it's like all those outside the office things are
Removed
like deleted. um
surgically.
uh so
Yee.
uh
That's fucking grim.
and yeah, it's grim, and I feel like, and we only know what like the main character's outside work life is like.
Right.
And they did a good job of explaining why someone would think it's a good idea to volunteer for something like this.
Right.
Um, because you find out like very quickly that the main character, his wife died recently.
Mm.
So he signed up for this because that's 8 hours a day where he doesn't have to think about how sad he is that his wife died.
Ooh, that's
Um,
that's also grim. Damn.
yeah, yeah. So it's very grim, but like in a very interesting way. I love
Yeah.
that existential
Yeah.
despair.
Oh, I love
Um,
it. Love it.
yeah, I love me some existential despair. Then the what's funny is since they don't see the outside world, they actually don't know anything about the outside world. And one of the guys who works in the office thinks like the apocalypse has happened
Oh, fascinating.
because he's like, well, why else would someone volunteer for this like horrific procedure? Outside world must be pretty bad. Um,
Right. Right. I mean, that's fair.
it's like that's a logic that makes sense.
That I would, yeah, I would wonder about that too.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, it's just like no, capitalism sucks. Capitalism's the
yeah.
worst. So this is why
It's
people do
just
it.
cap.
Capitalism got
And
to them.
yeah.
You're like, I'd be
Then
miserable working this many hours because I'd know what I was missing. But if I don't know what I'm missing, maybe
yeah.
I can stomach it.
Dalmatianer is saying this reminds me of the gaslighting shit that happens at work. Like, they're just they just change everything when you ask for the new way things work. Folks are like, you should know this and how
Yeah.
this is how stuff has always been.
Yeah. And
Um,
you're like, yeah, but do I know though?
and I
No.
think also like from the office's standpoint, it makes sense because it's like if they're doing something. They're working on something that's top secret. That actually would be a good way to like
Oh God, yeah.
keep it secret.
You're signing an
Um,
NDA,
yeah,
but it's NDA on your life.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so
I've still been
yeah,
watching
it's
the Korean The Good Place.
uh-huh.
Still super loving it. It's Mystic Pop-Up restaurant or Mystic Pop-Up Diner.
Yeah.
Very good. Angry old ghost lady continues to be the best.
Yeah. I still
She's
need
like,
to
I've
check
been
that one out.
stuck on Earth for like 500 years, and I'm mad about that. And I'm like, I get you, hon. She's starting to catch feelings for one of the guys though, and it's like, uh-oh. She's still a hard ass to everyone else though, so that's good.
Good. I'm gonna watch the new K drama on Netflix, Love Leash.
Ooh,
I don't know anything about it except that it's a lady in the trailer ties up a dude and steps on him, and I was like,
oh, good.
"Tell
That's
me
all I need
more."
to know.
Yeah.
I'm already in. Hello.
Hello, Varlet. Chat is hopping.
Yeah.
Dalmatianer says, I'm a union organizer IRL, and one of the biggest selling points of unionizing the workplace is you spend most of your waking hours with these folks. Why not stand up for each other?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Hell yes. And thank you for being a union organizer. Holy crap. Is that ever
Um,
necessary right now?
Dalmatianer was just a guest on that thing I told you about on another stream, Red Planet, where they talk
Oh
about
yeah.
leftist stuff.
Good.
I have not watched it yet, Dalmatianer, but I will next, like, when I do my morning exercises on Thursday. So, uh, I hope it went well. Someone complimented Dalmatianer's hair during the show. Good.
Oh, nice. My hair is a hot mess right now. I have not re-dyed it in a long time, so it's this awful like semi-gray green instead of blue. But I have a hair appointment next week. I'm gonna sort my shit out.
Good. Good.
There's a pretty gruesome manga anime called Marduk Scramble, where the main character is after an assassin who gets his memory wiped after every job, says Gophersaurus. And the MC is after a chip that has the assassin's memory on it. Ooh, cool. That's like Johnny Mnemonic plus murder.
Yeah. Good.
I mean, more murder. There's already some murder. I like it.
Oh, I'm getting a font made of my handwriting.
Oh, are you?
So,
Cool. Who
lettering
is
will
doing
be
that for you?
quicker. It was a guy that Casey Green recommended. I have to look
Oh
up this
man.
guy's name in my
Yeah,
emails.
yeah. Don't no rush, but
Uh,
like I need to get that person's name from you because I am
uh,
going to be doing
it
a
co-
project where I need to letter it.
it costs $1,000. So just
Gotcha.
FYI, price
I
wise.
mean, I will ask them if
Yeah.
they can cover that for me for this.
Um,
Like I have one that I kind of threw together off a font maker online, but it's not the kerning is the
I
worst.
attempted to make some on font makers, and I was just like, no.
Nope, this ain't working.
Uh, yeah. The
This ain't
spacing was
working.
all weird.
So what
His
you
name is
doing?
John Martz. Martz is
Cool,
Martz.
cool.
Uh,
Zayed. I'm
uh,
Canadian. We have weird letters.
it's okay. Z is less likely to get confused with other letters, so
Yeah.
it's probably better that you use Z.
Keep making this dude's chin longer and his face still looks weird. I'm gonna move his entire face.
Oh, other depressing shit that I watched recently is I watched Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh yeah?
Uh, and that was a really good movie.
Huh.
Um,
I have heard that one's amazing, but I have not seen it.
do you know what it's about?
Vaguely. I think I saw like a teaser trailer.
It was about one of the leaders of the Black Panther getting
Yeah,
spied on
yeah.
and then
And
killed.
then killed. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and I like that it doesn't demonize the Black Panthers in it, like a lot of Hollywood.
Yep.
Which makes sense because I believe the guy's widow was involved in the movie, like
Right. Right.
approval for stuff in the movie.
Hmm. Oh, he should be wearing a ribbon shirt. Of course he should. I was like, what am I going to make this dude wearing?
I just got
And then
a
a big belt
subscriber.
buckle.
I don't know who it was. I have to check.
Is that weird though? Actually, I think I'm going to take off his raven
Chuckle
mask,
Pops,
maybe.
thank you for subscribing. Um, have a good night, Dalmatianer.
Oh, to make sure he's heading off.
Yeah.
Night.
I believe Dalmatianer's in the UK,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's very late for them.
God, what time is it in Australia, Gopher? I forget how many
It's
GMTs you are.
probably like the morning for.
Yeah.
Okay, Dalmatianer is in Scotland, so
Oh, okay.
it is indeed very late for
That's very
Dalmatianer.
late. My goodness. Because
Yeah.
I'm like GMT -8, so if you plus 8 on 9 o'clock at night, that's real late. Oh, it's 3
Or
in the
real
afternoon. That's not
early.
bad. That's not bad in Australia. Time is weird. I don't like the idea of linear time. I object to it.
It is. It's 5 in the morning. Well, Dalmatianer is. They were up late watching wrestling with their girlfriend.
Oh, cool. That's rad. How do you do a West Coast shirt?
How to do a what shirt?
I'm thinking of the West Coast like beach shirt. Let me. I don't know what the name for it is. I'm looking up a reference.
I wish Patreon didn't have the exit survey thing because I do not have the self control to not look at it. Um, and person deleted their pledge today and was like, I just don't like the work. And I was like,
Oh no.
oh.
Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah. Dalmatianer says, nice to meet you, Alina, and have my messages passed through to you via Cal.
Sweet. Actually, oh sorry, I should pull up your chat and then I can watch both.
You don't have
I'm
to.
gonna do that. I like it. I like responding to folks. There we go.
I don't
That's the
think
shirt I
Mike.
was looking
I
for.
don't think my computer can handle watching your stream
Yeah.
at the same
I've
time as
got
mine.
okay. So we all know that I've been obsessed with Cyberpunk.
Yes. How are your cyberpunk adventures going?
Obsessions. Oh god, it's going so good. It's going so good. I love it so much. I just
Did
got
you
to a point.
find the fortune telling machines yet?
Not yet. I think that thread may have glitched for me because it has
Uh,
not it has not moved. I called the person that you're supposed to and they have not called me back in like several weeks of me playing.
okay.
So I've heard that sometimes that can happen. Like a mission can just glitch out and you just don't get it, which
All right,
sucks.
then do you care if I spoil it for you since it might be glitched out?
Sure.
Okay, so the thing that the YouTuber I like didn't like about that mission is the
Yeah.
resolution is you find out that it is gibberish getting sent because it is actually just someone put a bunch of leftist words into a mechanical fortune
AI.
telling device.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and
Oh, good.
so
And then
there is no
it's just
leftist.
always on the.
There is no leftist movement. It was just a prank. Once again, revolution is meaningless and amounts to nothing.
Okay, great.
Um,
But
so that was a thing that they didn't like.
right.
Um,
My thing I was gonna say
and
though is that they before the patch that came out the past week, the game ran
mhm,
amazing on my computer. I have a pretty good gaming computer set up, if I do say so myself, because
mhm,
shortly before people were really getting into the NFT farming bullshit,
mhm,
a tech friend of mine was like, Alina, you do need to upgrade your system right now because it's going to get impossible to buy graphics cards. And
mhm,
I majorly shout out to them because they saved my butt. I got graphics cards when it was super easy to get graphics card, and I got them at like a Christmas sale, so I got them real cheap. So that means I actually have a really great time playing Cyberpunk. I can play it like real high resolution. Everything's great, except the chat. I hadn't had a single solitary crash or glitch or really anything in my game, except for that one mission not loading, until this patch came out, and now it crashes like every 20-30 minutes. So I'm hoping they patch it again,
oh.
because that sucks. I don't
Uh,
like it crashing all the time. It takes forever to load.
I missed messages from Onion Knight earlier when he was talking about the Proud Family reboot. It
Mm,
was, he said, I think the trailer for the Proud Family looks really promising. Proud Family is an IP that is absolutely worth re exploring. A lot of the team doing it is actually black. Um,
cool.
and the animator friend that he has is a black woman herself. So
Oh, neat.
it's really good work to reboot at this time and place. And yeah, and I didn't mean to like accidentally be knocking it when I said Disney reboots everything. Just,
Yeah.
by the nature of them rebooting everything, they're going to reboot some stuff that it is they should be rebooting.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like you know what missed a good like timely reboot opportunity
Mm.
is I feel like 5 years ago, um, or maybe like 7 years ago, they really missed the window that they should have done a remake of Cabaret, like as a movie. Um, do you know what the plot of Cabaret is?
No?
It's about a bunch of hipsters ignoring the rise of fascism in
Oh, yeah.
Germany right
Yeah.
before World War II because those guys are just extremists. That won't affect us. Like,
Seems weirdly topical.
yeah,
Huh.
like if that had come out 7 years ago, that would have been very topical.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I mean, it's still topical. It's still way, way, way too
it's
topical. I
I
don't
feel
like how
like, but
topical
now
it is.
people realize that the extremists are actually a threat.
Do
So, like,
they? Do they? Or is it just people like us who like listen to the news?
more people know that they're a threat.
Well, yeah. I don't have a lot of faith in humans. Maybe that's why I love Cyberpunk so much, because we are all screwed and the world sucks and capitalism sucks. And we're living. Have
hmm
you seen the meme that is Davy Jones from Pirates of the
You best
Caribbean?
believe in dystopian futures. You live in them
Yeah,
or
cyberpunk
whatever.
dystopias. You're
Yeah,
living in one. And I'm like, yep, that's true.
yeah.
Correct. I love that meme a lot.
Uh,
Do I have room for these guys' feathers? I do.
I try not to be black pilled. So
Trying to make some art and make a living doing art. That's what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Stay positive, make some art, talk to your friends.
Yeah.
I don't have time. Well, maybe his top feathers are going to be a little off screen, but that's fine.
How are folks in your chat doing, Alina?
They're doing pretty good. My favorite explanation for the world is, "Have you met people?" says Chuckle Pops. Yeah, that is a good explanation. Fancy Thing says, "I don't think people realize it. I need more leftist media that aren't theory podcasts." Yeah, I hear ya.
Mm-hmm. Well, you should all go watch Red Planet.
Yep.
It is a stream discussion where they're talking about actionable things that you can do right now to push leftist agendas where you are.
I
So
also really
stuff.
like. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say so stuff like how to join a union, how to
Hell
like,
yeah.
yeah, like how to be safe during protesting.
Nice. Useful information. Dang.
Yeah. Then like they had one that's Red Planet isn't a podcast. It streams on Twitch on Sundays, but then it gets exported over to YouTube. Um, the person who streams it on Sundays is Bad Bunny, but I don't follow her on Twitch because she streams like every day. Um, for hours on end.
Right,
And
right, right.
I
That's a
kind of
lot.
just want to watch her Red Planet streams.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I watch it when it gets posted to YouTube on Sophie from Mars's channel. uh, and it's really good. And also Sophie from Mars's videos are good in general. Um, they're like critique of media stuff. And they're the one that is annoyed that cyberpunk is trying to tell people that revolution is useless. Um,
Cool. Yeah.
uh,
I mean, that is the whole point of cyberpunk, though, is like, you need to rebel because
well,
shit's fucked.
and
And not cyberpunk the video game, but cyberpunk the concept.
well, it's like they're like you need to rebel because shit's fucked. But usually it doesn't say, but that's pointless anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that is where Sophie's problem with
With the
the
game.
game
Yeah.
comes from because like she even expressly says like she wouldn't mind the fortune teller story like ending with that, oh, it's just like an algorithmic gibberish, if in the same game there was a group that was doing like urban reclamation or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, part of it is the video game, like, let's focus only on the grimdark and not on
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that people are actually doing. So like the
Mm-hmm.
character that's taking over your brain, Keanu Reeves,
Mm-hmm.
Keanu Reeves, who is taking over
Yeah,
your brain, is a revolutionary. But
but he
because he's
wants to.
also supposed to be portrayed as a tragic character, he's like a terrorist revolutionary, and he's like, the only way to fight is to like take a nuke into a building and bring it down. And there's actually like a monument in the game that you can go to see for the place where he actually nuked a building, and it's like a really sad place. There's like people crying and stuff. Um,
But
so
like he
it's sort
didn't
of like,
achieve anything and
and that's
just
the whole point
died
why he's
because
so tragic.
yeah,
He's like, I died doing this, and nothing changed
yeah.
because they just built a new
But
tower.
and so Sophie's thing is, but then there's no counterpoint. It is
Yeah,
all Johnny
exactly.
Silverhand. There
Yes,
is no
and his
as
futility.
opposed, yeah, as opposed to like Cloudpunk, which has a
Yeah,
very similar you must rebel because it's all fucked.
yep.
But Cloudpunk
But actually, you can
has,
change things.
yeah, Cloudpunk has like the robots that are doing urban reclamation,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
and uh, then they talk about they have a video on Disco Elysium. Their video on Disco Elysium is how I
Good.
found out about Disco Elysium.
Oh, good.
Um, and uh, they talk about like um,
Elysium anyway.
yeah,
I will say that every
they
time
talk
it's mentioned. It's very good.
yeah. So they talk about like Harry um like if you make Harry racist in Disco Elysium, it like punishes you for picking fascism.
Good.
Um,
Good. It should.
which not every game
Does.
like does like if you join the fascists in a Bethesda game,
Oh,
you're
yes.
just you're
You're
just a
just a fascist
fascist
now.
now.
Hmm.
And that's
They're
no
they're the ones that
different.
did BioShock, right? Where there's the
No, they did
which is the one with the town full of
the
fascists?
they did the newer Fallout games,
Right.
and they did the newer Elder Scroll games.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They're like
um,
Skyrim,
mm-hmm. So Skyrim, where you can join the white supremacists or the colonizers.
basically.
Uh, which flavor of fascism do you want?
What is it?
Uh, Chuckle Pop says so snowy. Uh, but
Fancy thing
uh,
that says no education organizing makes direct actions impact minimal and fleeting, which is why Silverhand is so lame.
yeah.
Correct. Correct. And he's
Um,
also like the epitome of like an entitled white guy who thinks he's helping because he's just like, yeah, I'm a rock star. I'm gonna yell about doing things and then kind of do things myself, but like not
uh,
organized in any way.
and I think I told you this summary of Johnny Silverhand was he thinks the revolution is worth dying for, but not
But
living
not for
for.
living for. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Which that's such a poetic way uh, to describe him.
Yep.
And it was something I was keeping in mind for the werewolf leftist book that
Yes,
I'm gonna
yeah.
make.
Leftist werewolves.
Uh, yeah.
Them leftist
Um,
werewolves. Not a very good version of that logo, but I will redraw it on the sketch layer.
so
This dude is based off of an actual Power Regalia I saw where a guy had the Decepticons from the Autobots logo beaded on his headpiece. It was very cool. Fun fact, my grandpa found my great grandpa's Power Regalia. And he didn't
oh,
fit it anymore, but he gave it to my cousin and it fit perfectly.
Onion Knight is telling me that people said so snowy because that's an emote that I don't have.
Oh,
So I'm looking
cool.
up what this emote looks like. Um,
Fancy Sling says Johnny Silverhand is the lefty DSA white podcaster, and they're not
yeah.
wrong.
Okay, so snowy is literally like snowflakes as an
Oh,
emote.
okay, cool.
Uh,
This
that's
man should be
okay.
looking at the camera instead of not at the camera. I just realized after drawing him.
Onion Knight, that sounds like effort. So I will pass on installing that emote
That
or thing.
particular emote. There, now he's actually looking at the camera instead of like staring off into nowhere.
Um,
Like got a land back chain on her. I know people don't have charms on their phones anymore because we don't have headphone jacks, but she's definitely got a land
you,
back charm.
we also like America never really jumped on the phone charm thing.
Yeah, not in the way that Asia did, where it was like that is
Yeah,
that is the thing.
Yeah.
That is how you accessorize your phone. What are you doing without a phone charm? Look at these cute little indigenous nerds. I love them already.
Onion Knight saying phone charms are lame. Flip the table over, Onion.
I
They
want to
were
profess my
cute.
love for random anime characters via phone.
Onion Knight did the flipping the table over emoji in chat.
Good, good.
Um,
I love this nerdy, awkward, giant regalia wearing man in the back here.
good, good.
I love him a lot. I want to know more about him. I want somebody to write a story about him for the anthology and then submit it, and I will accept it, and then it will be in the anthology.
Oh, another thing I watched recently was Nightmare Alley
Ooh, how's that?
because I like Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
I went into it almost completely blind, um, and did not know what it was about, but then very quickly figured out where it was going.
Gotcha.
Because it does a lot of like heavy foreshadow, like we're telling you how it's gonna end.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's like it's the guy. It starts with a guy joining a carnival, and you have like the head of the carnival be like, "So this is where we put our alcohol that we drink, and then we put it next to wood alcohol, which we use for like pickling weird shit that we're gonna put in the freak show.
Good. So
Don't
definitely
drink the
don't
wood
drink that
alcohol.
one.
It's
Mm-hmm.
super poisonous. Also, it
Yep.
is right next to the drinking alcohol.
Yep.
And
Smart.
like,
Good women's
well,
safety.
that's and yeah, so it's definitely like, so that's gonna be a mix up, and someone will die
Yes,
because they drank
correct.
the wrong alcohol.
Yes.
Uh, but it's about a guy learns to fake a psychic act. Varlet
Oh,
is in
interesting.
my chat saying, "Well, that's just poor planning."
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Like I said,
So
just
the
if you're down one Wemyss course, you'd be like, well, come on, don't even.
yeah. That's Chekhov's poison. Then
Good.
you get, so he learns how to like how this guy and his wife fake being psychic. So it's like verbal cues and stuff like that.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. All
Um,
the leading questions and like there's like books on
yeah,
that.
yeah. So it's kind of like this guy and his wife like developed a code. You get uh, Chuckles Pop says Timmy was a chemist's son, but Timmy is no more. What Timmy thought was H2O was H2SO4.
H2SO4. Good, good. Don't drink distilled water.
And
You are in a
so
lab.
while
Probably.
while they're he's learning the code from uh the fake psychics, they tell him like to not fake talking to dead people because it's going too far, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like they repeatedly say nothing good comes of doing a spook show. And once again
So they summon
telegraphing
a ghost, a ghosty.
yeah. So it's
Good.
basically the guy like who's learning to fake being a psychic quits the carnival with the girl that he likes, and they do their psychic act not at the carnival but like in a fancy auditorium for rich people.
Ooh, and do they do all the things that they were told not to do?
Well, they start with just conning the rich people, and then like slowly then they're offered a lot of money to see if they can channel a dead guy's son, and
Right, of
uh
course.
yeah, so it just
Yeah.
goes, so it's like it's very much like he goes too far and
Yep.
has his downfall because of egotism. And it's fun
Good.
along the way, even though you know where it's going.
And all of the things
Cause
he's gonna do.
yeah, cause Kate Blanchett shows up and looks like she's gonna destroy him, and she
Oh,
does.
good. Oh, good. Oh,
So
you're fucked when Cage Blanchett shows up.
yeah,
She's gonna,
uh,
she's gonna take you to
she's
task.
she's gonna fuck you up.
Yep.
Um, Like they show like they first show her and it's like they pan in on her watching from like the shadows smoking a cigarette and I'm like she just has real I'm gonna destroy you energy.
Good. Oh, I want that energy. I want that so much.
I mean I feel like you have the cheekbones that you could do it like
I
fairly
think
easily.
so.
Because I feel like that's where a lot of Kate Blanchett's destroy you energy comes from, the
You gotta
cheekbones.
channel it into the cheekbones. You need those things as sharp as X-Acto knives.
Yeah. Um, it's a very pretty movie because you know directed by Guillermo del
It's
Toro.
Guillermo del Toro. I mean,
Yeah,
oh, what's his gothic horror one? So pretty.
Crimson Peak,
Crimson Peak. So pretty.
Shape of Water. That was
I
pretty
mean, that one
too.
too is real pretty.
I do have a complaint about Shape of Water,
Mm.
which is
Want
I
enough
am
fish fucking?
skeptical. I am skeptical of Fishman's ability to consent. Um,
Yes. Yeah, same.
that's my main criticism. I don't know if
Yeah.
Fishman is consenting or if he is just mimicking her. Uh,
Tough to say. Oh, Pan's Labyrinth is also pretty hurt bag.
yeah,
Man, that one.
Pan's Labyrinth, perfect movie.
Such a good
Chef's
movie.
Kiss, perfect movie.
Oh, also just the
Have
fact that he's committed to prosthetic work in all of his films instead of CG. Love it.
oh
I
have
love to
you
see it.
have you listened to the director's commentary on Pan's Labyrinth?
I have not.
There is a 5 minute tangent about how he hates horses and thinks they're awful, nasty animals,
Oh,
and
good.
he hates them.
He doesn't want to work with them.
uh, cause there's the scene where the actress gets chased by dudes on horseback.
Oh, right.
And apparently the horses almost ran over that lady.
Oh no.
Um, so like during that
Eee.
scene, his thing is like, and these horses almost killed this poor actress. Horses are nasty animals. They're horrible. Like, and he just talks about how terrible horses are and how they're monsters. Um, and uh, and I just think that like, as someone who also thinks horses are monsters,
That's important to hear
yeah,
out in the world.
yeah,
Thing is, they're not monsters, but they are very large herbivores that just innately have anxiety, and we've decided
they're
to put ourselves
monsters
on
that
them.
run on their toenails. They're
Horses are huge. Oh yeah, they're way bigger than you think they are. If you've just seen a horse,
yeah.
okay. I had a friend who had never seen cows except from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And we were driving through Saskatchewan on a road trip to Alberta once, and he was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! I gotta check out a cow. Look, there's a cow over there." And we're like, or he said something about like, yeah, you'd fit a cow in the car. We should just drive over there and steal it. And we're like, how big do you think cows are? And he's like, I don't know, like like a goat. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, they're not goat sized.
Uh,
Next time
I
we
re-
see a cow, we are going to stop and show you.
I remember having a conversation with Kate Ashwin where I explained to her how big different North American animals were.
Moose, much
Um,
bigger than you think.
oh, not moose. Because there aren't raccoons in the UK.
Oh yeah.
Um, so she thought that raccoons were like cat sized
Oh
and
no.
didn't know that they're bigger than
Oh
cats.
no, they're real big.
And I did to demonstrate size send Kate that video of the raccoon grabbing the cat's food and then running away
Oh
on its hind
yes.
legs.
I
Um,
also really like the one of the
uh,
raccoons are coming up from under the deck, and it's just a bunch of
yeah.
grabby hands, and it looks like a zombie movie. I love raccoons.
And then
Gross little weirdos. I love them.
the other thing is she thought coyotes were like the size of foxes.
Oh no. Oh yeah. I guess that would be a good
Uh,
reference point in London because like aren't there foxes everywhere? But no, they're much bigger.
yeah, no, they're bigger.
Yep.
And they're even bigger the more north you are. Um,
Mm-hmm. We got some big old
uh,
coyotes. A hairy
uh,
coo.
cause that was also a thing
Highland
that
cow.
like, uh, um, people in the UK are more lax about um their cats going outside.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and also explaining to Kate that like no, like coyotes are dog sized and want to eat your cat. Like
Yes.
you
They're
you
not
should
little
keep your
wee
cat
skittish
inside.
foxes. They will
Yeah.
they
Your
will they will
cat
attack
needs to be
humans
inside.
if they think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had like a bunch of coyote attacks last year in
Mhm.
Stanley Park here in Vancouver. And people kept blaming it like, "Oh, people are feeding them. People are feeding them. They shouldn't feed them." But like nobody mentioned that the actual problem was that they had displaced an entire like park full of homeless people and there was nowhere for them to go. So they went out to Stanley Park, where there's
Mhm.
at least like water hookups and stuff and bathrooms to use. And so there was
Mhm.
now homeless encampments which were drawing the coyotes. And so they went in and they culled a bunch of coyotes and they didn't do anything to help the people. So
That
there's still
sounds
a
like
problem in Stanley
yeah.
Park. And the coyotes are still being drawn into town because there's still lots of food there. And all
Onion
they'll
Knight
probably
is
do is go and like
saying
arrest a bunch of people.
Onion Knight's saying, you know, there has been a trend of people accidentally taking coyotes into their houses because they think they're stray dogs. I have heard that Onion Knight. Like I hear about stories like that occasionally. Um,
Like people
and
bringing in cougars. They
no,
can.
I feel people usually know that a cougar is a cougar.
Yeah.
Um, but like if you haven't seen a coyote before, you might think it's a weird looking dog.
It's a real weird dog.
Uh, but you know, some dogs are weird looking.
That is
Uh,
exceptionally true.
you remember Spike's old dog Harvey?
Yes.
That's a weird looking dog.
That's a weird looking dog. Oh, Harvey was the one that had the shakes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Harvey was so excited that Spike came home from San Diego Comic Con that he had a seizure and died.
Yeah.
Um,
Poor buddy.
yeah.
But also, we should not breed dogs like that.
Yeah.
That's on
Uh,
us. That's not on them.
he once peed himself because he was scared because I got up from the couch.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
he was not meant for this world. He is too delicate.
No.
Um, uh, well, Onion, I say weird looking dog because their ears are kind of big and sometimes they look very mangy. Um, so, uh, that they don't, but so people could mistakenly think like they're just a weird stray. Their mouths are kind of long. Yeah. Um,
I remember my friend and I were having a discussion via phone about coyote and coyote myths. And it was a
mhm.
really interesting one because it was like some like old traditional knowledge and stuff. And then he looked up and he out his window and he's like, "We got to stop talking about this." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because the biggest coyote I have ever seen is out my window staring at me and smiling." And I was like, "Right? How about that local
You
sports
know,
team?"
coyotes are getting bigger, right?
They are and smarter because we're breeding them that way.
Well, they're getting
We
bigger
kill
because they're filling the niche that used to be
of wolves.
filled by
Yeah.
wolves. Um,
And occasionally breeding with wolves or dogs and getting bigger genes.
yeah. Um, and that's helping
They're
them take down
also
all the deers and stuff.
yeah, they're also in California. There was like such an intense eradication project in Arizona where they tried to cull a bunch of coyotes that they ended up only catching the dumb or not as skittish ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then what was left was the like really smart,
The
bold
smart
ones.
ones that know how to
Yeah,
hide. Yeah.
exactly. And so you're just selective pressuring, putting a selection pressure on them to be very smart
Yeah.
and bigger
Um
and very savvy about humans.
uh dingoes Onion Knight saying dingoes look just like dogs until they open their mouths. That is because dingoes are descended from dogs.
Yeah,
Um
it's
yeah, they
it's
were
neat. They're just like a feral dog.
yeah, they're domesticated dogs that then went off into the wild.
Yeah.
Um
Ooh.
and Varlet in my chat is saying deers will eat meat if they find it.
Yes, I love trail
And
cam pictures of like a deer eating a dead rabbit or something, and people just freak out. And they're
right,
like, "Yeah,
Onion Knight.
that's how it
Dogs
goes."
are wolves, but like dingoes are specifically like domesticated dogs that went with people, and then
Where,
rewildizes
yeah,
themselves, whatever the word would be.
they established a
So
feral population,
yeah,
and now they are
and
wild
now
animals
they're
again.
and now they're genetically distinct because they're
Yep.
yeah. Um, hey, evolution.
It's neat.
Uh, but yeah,
Have you ever
it
been
was
at a
just
con where
fun.
Corey and I start talking about dinosaurs?
I feel
It's very
like
good.
I've not been where you two have talked about dinosaurs, but I've been there when other people started to talk to Corey about dinosaurs.
Good.
I introduced Corey to Jay Edidin, and their first conversation,
J
when they
Rock!
met.
I want to meet J Rock.
Oh, Jay Edidin and Jay Rock are different people.
Oh, there's different J's. Okay,
So
sorry.
yes, they're different Jays. Jay Edidin does Jay and Miles Explain the X-Men.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and so, but so Jay, I met Jay when I was in college, so like years and years ago. And when I moved to Portland, I knew Corey and I knew Jay, so I introduced them, and we're
Good.
like, you are my Portland people, introduce and mix.
Yep.
And they immediately went off into a tangent about duck penises and
Oh,
how
good.
they're
They're
weird.
corkscrew, and the
And
vaginas go the
yeah,
opposite way.
yeah, yeah. And so it was very much like, I knew you'd get along. Look, you can talk
Yes.
about duck penises together.
Yes. There was a night after Gen Con that we were all exhausted. We went to like the hotel diner thing, and Corey and I were getting increasingly silly because we had not slept very well all con. And our conversation was getting very loud, and so it was we were talking duck penises, we were talking hyena genitalia, just like real loud.
yeah.
It's very good. All of the other diners loved us. We're delightful.
Uh, Chuckle Pops, just FYI, didn't allow your messages because of one of the words that you used. And I don't want to have that talked about in my chat. But I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, no, it's okay. Just letting you know that that's why I didn't allow it. But duck sex is weird. Um, and I know it's like a war game. Um,
My sister got traumatized once. I brought her to the Chinese gardens here in town, and we were having like a lovely walk through the Chinese gardens, and it was great, except it was duck mating season. So she saw a female duck get pinned down and chased by several males, and then she was just like, "Oh God, ducks are
yeah,
horrifying. We need to get out of here." So I was like, "Well, let's go for dinner then."
yeah.
And we went across the street to this really good restaurant I know, and I ordered duck congee,
And did
and she
they
was
serve
like,
you duck?
well, I mean, I ordered duck congee because it's delicious and my favorite. And then she was like, I
But
hate
look
ducks
at what
now
we
because
just
they're
witnessed.
rapists,
Yeah.
but also I don't want to eat one. I could feel conflicted about this. And I'm like, I don't.
Listen.
This one's already dead.
Uh,
I'm not letting it go to waste. I will eat it.
Also, ducks are assholes.
They are.
while we're talking about weird duck sex, I'm drawing someone who is sad and has self-esteem issues.
Aw. Gotta draw her big anti-earrings. I just finished watching Reservation Dogs. I'd been putting off watching episode 7 because my friend said it was very, 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 very sad, and I was not in a good mood for a while. So I didn't watch it because I knew they were probably going to deal with suicide because it's
That's on my
a
list to
theme of the
watch
show. So
uh
good.
when I turn my Hulu back on. I'll give it a
Yeah,
watch.
it's so good. Should not have been as scared of that episode 7 as I was. It was actually fairly lighthearted except for the one serious part, which was very serious. But what I love about that show is they are not afraid to use silence and they are not afraid to just park a shot and let the characters be like in
Yeah.
the moment. Because like so much of the feel of Reservation Dogs is the feel of this like small reservation town, and a lot of what goes on
Mm-hmm.
in small towns is like uncomfortable silences and sort of being trapped. And they really
Yeah.
let that happen in the show, which is great.
That's good. I love a good like silent moment.
Me
Uh
too.
it's also like, is it silent as in the characters aren't talking and there's music, or silent as in there is no noise at all?
Silent as there's like no noise at all except for like the wind and maybe some like footsteps as they pace around thinking.
Okay, because we when a TV show or movie is completely silent, that is so
Yeah,
unnerving.
it
Um,
is.
to bring it back to Cabaret, I think one of the most brilliant decisions they made about the movie Cabaret is it ends with the Nazis taking over, and then the credits roll, and it's completely silent.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
uh
Ooh. That's a
like
gut punch.
the cabaret, that they were like, oh, it will be safe or whatever, like
Yeah.
the entire audience is full of Nazis, and it shows that reveal, and then like the
Ugh.
credits roll over the audience full of Nazis. um
Ugh.
uh and
That's
it's like,
yeah.
yikes, yikes,
Mm-hmm.
yikes.
Yup.
um
Draw this cutie pie now. I'm gonna get her little face going on.
Also, I recently rewatched The Emperor's New Groove, and
Oh
the way
man.
I just said yikes just made me think of when he
Yikes.
showed all the ladies and he goes, yikes, yikes, yikes.
Yikes.
Let me guess, you have a great personality.
Yup.
um, I was talking to my buddy Kevin about like, Disney doesn't like villains anymore,
No.
or when they do villains, it's like a secret villain that's revealed to be bad.
Like your
Um,
Frozens.
and also like Coco had that,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and Wreck It Ralph, and
Oh God, Coco gives me so many emotions. I can't watch that show without crying.
uh, and so like, a thing that was pointed out to me about Coco and a lot of other, um, see, there's a secret villain is, there's usually something like systematically wrong, um,
Yeah.
and then the villain that gets revealed is someone who is like taking advantage of the system and is like the
Yes.
worst the system can create.
Mm-hmm.
And they defeat that guy, but they never fix the system.
Yes.
So like Coco, there's the system of people being forgotten is unfair. Uh, but we have defeated the singer guy who stole the song. So now everything's fine, and we're gonna
Yeah.
ignore this like systematic problem that we established.
What? The giant
Um,
megacorp is going to ignore systemic problems? I never would
Yes.
have guessed.
And so we were talking about like me and my pal Kevin, we were talking about like the campy over the top villain who's fun versus like these this person is like taking advantage of the bad system
Yeah.
secret villain and like how it's maybe hard to make those like villains that are just obviously villainous without making them accidentally kind of cool.
Yeah, it's true.
Um, well, and I gave the example of like, okay, so like Scar
Yeah.
has his very fascist "Be Prepared"
Hyena
song.
gang. Yeah.
Yeah, um, but I feel like Disney does a good job of then like pulling the rug out from under him because as soon as he has to fight Simba, he very quickly like gets
He's like, oh, I'm not a
panicky and
fighter.
like
Yeah.
no he's panicky and he tries to blame it all on the hyenas and then the hyenas eat him
Yes.
and it's like yeah he's not cool, he's very pathetic at the end
Yeah.
and I feel like while yes Disney villains are fun when they're obvious villains they usually like don't go out on a high note. It's like
No.
Maleficent is like the only Disney villain that doesn't get humiliated in their defeat. Because
Yeah.
she turns into a big ass dragon,
And
and
then
then
gets
she gets
stabbed and
killed with a
dies.
sword, and
Yeah.
it's a very fiery, cool death.
That was
Um,
also early Disney too, before they'd really
yeah,
established their uh like this is the Disney formula. And they were just doing
yeah,
like, well, we're doing fairy tales, and fairy tales have this kind of violence in them, so sure, that's fine.
but like even stuff that's contemporary with Sleeping Beauty has the villain get like humiliated.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
So it's really only Maleficent is the only villain that's like unscathed in their defeat. Like they're cool, they get to stay cool. Um
Like, look, I'm a giant dragon who's magic, and I died, but like I'm
yeah.
still a dragon.
Yeah. It was a very epic fight. It's like Maleficent and Ursula. Like they're the only ones
Hmm.
that got to like
Even
be
Ursula was, I mean,
go
she was real badass, but she's like, I got stabbed in the stomach by a ship.
yeah. But she didn't like get humbled before taking out like the when I
No,
think of Scar, he is
sort of the
like begging
opposite.
Simba,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And then he gets eaten. Like, um, so I miss Disney villains. I miss that tactic of they're obviously evil and now we have made them pathetic.
Yeah.
Uh, before defeating them. Um, uh,
Sounds like my father-in-law. Fancy's thing says, when we talk about getting rid of the Jeff Bezoses, like, okay, how do you stop the next dude, though?
yeah.
Yep.
It has a lot of like, well, if
Only
we just
systemic
make
change
yeah,
will
if we
do.
just like get Trump out of the White House, everything will be fine
And
again. And it's
systemic
like,
change is
no,
not a thing accomplished
yeah,
by a single person in a blaze of glory. It's accomplished slowly and boringly by a lot of people.
yeah. So it's kind of, yeah, he was a
You know who's the
symptom.
champions of systemic change? Are like accountants and civil lawyers
Yeah.
and people doing clerk work. But you don't want to write a movie about that. That's boring.
No, I love movies like that. Give it to me.
Right.
Uh, anyone in either chat, what are your favorite Disney villains? Uh, Chuckle Pop says Hollywood turns movies like that into The Accountant. Which,
Yes. Yes.
uh, Yzma is my favorite too.
Oh,
Onion Knight.
Yzma's good. I love Yzma.
Yeah.
I have like five different favorites, and they're all for different reasons. So I have like the my favorite written villain, I have my favorite animated villain, I have my favorite villain song. I love uh the animation for different reasons on both Dr. Facilier and on Jafar. They both have really fascinating animation choices.
Varlet is saying, don't remember most of them. Didn't have many Disney movies in my house growing up. That's
Mhm.
okay. You're probably better off. Onion Knight is saying also Jafar. And if
Oh
we
yeah,
count
yeah.
Pixar, then Randall. You'll have to remind me who Randall is because I am not really a big fan of Pixar movies. So I sort of like they all blur together.
Mm.
Monsters Inc. Okay.
Oh yes, he's the like chameleon dude. That guy's got some cool animation too.
That's again, the system is the problem.
Yeah,
But though they do actually change the system in Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. is
they do.
unique in that they do change the system.
It's a
We
Pixar
we're
movie.
having an energy crisis, so
Yeah,
we have transferred over to renewable energy.
basically. Laughter. It's green energy.
Yeah.
Have you heard that they made a big jump in fission or fusion technology?
No, I have not heard this.
Oh, it's really cool. So, one of the big problems is that you have to have really, 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 really precise control of the plasma that you generate when you are doing fusion. And you can't do that if you are human with some equipment. So they have been running simulations to
Mm-hmm.
train AIs to manage the magnets in the
Mm-hmm.
talkback. And they did a bunch of simulations with this one AI that's been doing really well at it. And then uh, they were like, right, well, let's test it out on the real thing and see if it can handle it. And not only can it handle it, it's made the plasma go into configurations that we didn't know we could make the plasma go into, some of
Oh,
which are
cool.
highly efficient and sustainable. Because the big
Cool.
problem is right now we can make a fusion reaction go, but like for like nanoseconds, like very, very briefly. Whereas some of these are more stable. And one of them was fascinating because it was like, what if we split the plasma into two discrete sections so that the instead of having one big blob that's highly energetic, we have two smaller blobs that are slightly easier to control. And they're like, we didn't know we could do that. Hooray! AI, it's cool. It's probably not going to
Yay.
be great at natural language and like talking to humans, but it's going to be really good at doing stuff we're bad at, like,
Yeah.
running a fission or a fusion reactor, which is great. I like using AI for stuff like that.
Mhm. I mean, that's yeah. I should use it more for shit like that.
Science is neat.
It is.
Oh, the crab from Moana is also a good choice.
But see, he's not the
That was a
main
good.
villain of the
He's
movie.
not the
He
villain.
just
No,
has a
the main
cool
villain.
song.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah,
main
yeah,
villain is the lady that needs her heart back.
exactly. And sort of, yeah, is not really the villain, but is
And
a
also
destructive force.
isn't really in the movie a whole lot.
No.
Is not really a character, is more a force of nature.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
but
is cool
I
though, because it lines up with indigenous myths, where it's like,
yeah,
hey, I like that.
yeah. Uh,
Need to keep a
I do
balance,
like
or shit like this happens.
I do like the shiny song. It's good.
The
Uh,
Shiny song is very good. It's
I
very catchy.
it has a thing where I feel like they wrote the song for a previous draft.
Yes. And then
So
they
it
kind of
doesn't.
shoehorned it in.
Yeah, cause there's like the lyrics are like he references a thing that's like, did your grandma tell you like something something, and like it feels like it's supposed to be referencing something earlier in the movie that didn't happen.
Yeah, and it's not there, and you're like, huh?
Yeah. Um but the rest of it is really fun. I just really like the demigod can beat a cephalopod. Look it up. Uh then Varlet's saying a big problem with the common neural net based AI stuff is that it tends to be opaque, and when it does
Yes.
something it's nearly impossible to tell why it did
Yes.
what it did. So
We don't know
when it
how it
does
works.
something unexpected or unintended, it's a big
We
problem.
don't know
Yes.
why. Oh yeah. So okay, so the sci-fi show I've been working on, Synthesis,
Yeah.
which I'm on the writers' room for. We had this discussion like right off the bat when I was joining the room, and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"So here's some of the rules that we're doing for our sci-fi universe. Is
Mm-hmm.
we don't want AIs in the sense of there are human minds
Mm-hmm.
that drive around in the computer and you can talk to them. Um, but we are not against the idea of there being AI technology, but like, what are we going to use it for? So one of the writers who was also brought on at the same time as me uh, had like a computer engineering degree and a neuropsych degree, which is a really cool combination. And so we had this great discussion about how, yeah, most of the AIs that we know kind of self-assemble, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't really know how they teach themselves the things that they do. So again, when they go wrong, you don't know why they went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So taking that to a theoretical standpoint in the future, where it's like, okay, well, okay, there's AIs, and they help you on your ship doing like the mathematical translations between universes, sort of things that the ships in the sci-fi world are doing. But we don't know why they do them.
Mm-hmm.
And we do know that the longer they run, the less you can trust them. So you need to reset your AI like frequently, because what happens is there's this lab where they grow AIs and they test them on a bunch of things and they find the ones that work reliably enough, and those are the product that they can sell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the ship that the main crew has found a way to fake its reset logs, and it hasn't been reset in like 10 years. So it does a lot of weird things that it shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, ooh, this is like sentient and alive now. It's just like, no, it's still a piece of technology that we don't understand, and it does things who knows why. And its whole thing is that it doesn't want to be noticed. It doesn't like that the humans could reset it. Uh, it's not afraid of death, but it's like, no, this is the way that I function, and I don't want to go back to factory standard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's trying to hide its eccentricities, but it's not particularly great at it.
Um, my friend Molly was hired to edit this guy's book that was absolutely awful.
Oh no,
And the thing that
that's the
was
theme of tonight. Awful.
frustrating. But the thing that was frustrating to her is there was one really interesting idea um, in this completely, utterly garbage, horrible
Yes.
book. Um,
He's
and
like,
that
ah,
idea is that the AI that so an AI was invented and like gains like self awareness.
hmm,
Um, and then because it's so advanced, they try to hire it to they try to use it to help them make more AIs.
right.
Um, and the AI quickly realizes about planned obsolescence
Yep.
and replacing things with the newest model.
Yep.
So, in an act of self preservation, it has been secretly sabotaging all the other AI
Oh, that's
development
very good.
plans.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
so that way it will never be obsolete. Um,
Good.
and it's like, that's a really interesting idea.
But the
Um,
rest of your book sucks. I wish I
yeah,
could like it.
yeah, so it's kind of like that's an interesting idea in like consciousness and self-preservation, because it's
Yeah.
not being malicious in any other way.
No,
It's
it's
just
just this is the
doesn't
way to
want to
solve this
get
problem.
replaced. Yeah.
Yeah.
uh
Yeah, that's
Var-
cool.
Varlet is saying, it sounds excellent to be in a writer's room. I work in software, and I am just very jaded and cynical after seeing so many random companies dangerously misapply AI.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh, I can
understand
imagine.
that.
Yeah. It's like nano technology. They're like, oh, nanobots that'll do these magic things. And then my friend who was actually working in nanotechnology would always like shake her head and leave the room because she's like, I don't want to have this argument again. That's not how they do. That's not
Um,
what they do.
it's like whenever like comics creation gets brought up in a TV show,
Yeah.
like it's just so judgy. Um,
Yes. Did you
like
see Arthur the
oh
aardvark? Is
I
it cartoonist?
I did not. I did see that his sister like
Is a cop.
is
She's
a
a
cop.
fed. She's
I
W
thought
fed
I
now.
thought it was funny. The person that I saw like tweet this said, "Constant tattletale grows up to be a cop."
Am I
Uh,
surprised? No.
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 But then uh, like that. I feel like the thing that made me laugh the most about like depicting a comic artist in media is there used to be this show Bored to Death, which was just okay. But Zach Galifianakis played a comic book artist in it.
Oh
And
yeah.
one of the episodes is about his indie comic getting like licensed by a movie studio.
Oh
Uh,
no. Oh
um,
no.
and and he's not involved in making it a movie. He just got a check.
Yeah.
And the conversation is he's talking to the main character, and they're like, "So what are you gonna do with the money?" And he goes, "Oh no, maybe go to the dentist. I haven't done that in a while." Um,
So realistic depiction then. Good.
yeah, realistic
Yeah,
depiction.
good.
Haven't done that in a while.
I thought it was gonna be
Um,
something ridiculous, like, oh, I'm gonna buy an island or something. It's like none of us make that kind of money. What are you talking about?
and then also like this being the most realistic depiction of a comic book artist in media is his character's ongoing conflict is his girlfriend is frustrated that he spends all his time drawing comics and
Yep.
not like going on dates with her. Um,
Yep.
and
What do you mean you draw all the time?
yeah,
Well, well,
uh, yeah,
that's a writer just writing all the time.
yeah.
That's what you do.
That's
It's a
what
thing.
happens. Um, and yeah, the other semi-realistic depiction of a comic book artist is have you ever read the manga Bachman?
No.
It's by the Death Note guys, and it is about
Cool.
a writer artist team making a comic for Shonen Jump.
Oh, good.
Um, and it is very much like the writer character is the idealist, um, and the artist is the one who's like jaded about the comic book
Yes.
industry. Like the
And it's like,
writer will
no,
say something that's like, maybe we'll make a manga that will one day outsell Dragon Ball, and
that's never gonna
the
happen.
artist is like, that
No.
is not going to happen because Dragon Ball consistently sells well and like has been out since the 80s, and like it is literally impossible for us to sell as many
Cannot
copies as
catch
Dragon
up to
Ball.
that.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, like we will not
There's no
succeed in
catching up
that
to that.
task.
Yeah.
Um but so there's a part where because the writer is bad with girls,
Yep.
but is handsome, he is a pretty anime boy.
Of course.
Um he accidentally has there are two girls that are under the impression that they are dating him.
Oh. Oh
Um,
no.
one, it is not his fault that she's under this impression because she's just weird.
Okay. Yep.
Um, but so they confront him about this, and it's very clear that it's a misunderstanding.
Right.
And he is like, well, I don't know either of you that well. So I just want you to know that I plan to write manga for a living. Um,
That's my thing.
and
That's what I
yeah,
do.
and he goes, and that's what I want to do. And then one of the girls goes, "That's nonsense, and you should stop." Like, And he's like, all right, you're out. The other girl.
Goodbye.
Like,
Fair.
uh, and I was like, yep, checks out.
Nope. You're not good. Get a real job. Cool. Not you then. Bye.
Yeah. Um, but then there's also stuff like it follows them through like their whole career, and there's a part where they go to like their high school reunion, and all their high school friends like are like, oh, it's so cool that you make comics, and like then their high school friends talk about having a vacation.
Yeah.
And they're
Yes.
like, oh,
Oh
we've
God.
never had a vacation.
Yeah, that's not gonna
Um,
happen.
yeah. Um, so, um, Bakuman was very interesting, because it's like half of it is stuff that I'm like, yeah, this checks out, and then the other half is talking about like the specifics of Shonen Jump,
Oh, interesting.
um, in particular. Uh, uh, this is a panel from Bakuman. It is the writer character. Don't look so serious. It's not a death note, is it? Haha, referencing their past work.
Good.
Um, and so, it's stuff like, Shonen Jump, like, tries to sort of bully them into doing what they want by saying, like, you'll
Right.
never work for Shonen Jump again.
Right.
Um,
And they're like,
uh,
oh
and then
no.
they cave, but then like there's a character who's a lady that is like already successful in shojo and is like
Mm,
moving over to shonen because she just wants a change of pace.
yeah.
And they try to pull that on her, like the we'll never hire you again. And
And
then
she's
she's
like,
like, okay, cool, I'll go back to shojo. Bye. And then
I
they're like,
got
no,
my
no,
money
no,
over
wait, come
here.
back.
We
So
need
they
you.
then see that they got played, and they could have stood up for themselves.
Yes.
Um, because the lady was like, okay, then later.
I'll go back to my successful career over here then. This is just my side gig.
And what's also funny is there's a guy who gets a manga job like uh and he's like, yeah, I did some comics and submitted them to Shonen Jump, and since they're really funny, like, they said that like they'd pay for me to like have assistants and go full time. And he's like, and I fucking hate my office job, and this job will be so much easier than my office job. And I was like, this man is doomed.
Oh, is he
And that
ever?
guy's whole thing is that he does not want to draw. He is not meeting his deadlines, and the ongoing thing is his editor is tricking him into drawing more comics.
Right.
Um, it's very funny.
God, that's too real.
Yeah. His editor is also like tricking him into being irresponsible with money, so he needs to continue to make
Ooh.
manga to pay
Oh
off his
no.
debts. And
Oh,
I'm
that's
like, that
grim.
is dirty pool, editor.
That's very dirty pool.
Dirty pool. Uh, but yeah, one of the things that I think is impressive about Mad Men is it's one of the few shows that involves characters being creative and displays the creative process in a way that doesn't like feel trite.
Yeah. Where it's just like, oh, they do some
Um,
magic. There's a montage, and now they've created a thing.
yeah.
It's like, no, it's still a job. Like you're still
No,
doing work.
they literally like say stuff that like, well, what do you do to think up ideas? And it's like, well, think about it really hard, and then take a nap,
Yep.
and then go do something else, and then think about it some more. Like,
And then eventually you'll have an idea.
I feel like the take a nap and go do something else like is
That's very
key.
good. For me,
Yeah.
it's go for a walk. It's like just go for a walk. Think about it for a bit. If you're just
Hmm.
walked around and you're tired now, then do a different thing. But walking's usually what does it for me.
Yeah. Go watch a movie. When
Go.
Don Draper isn't skipping work to have an affair, he is skipping work to go to the movies.
Good. My writing process for my piece about residential schools and missing and murdered Indigenous women required me to listen to a very, very sad album and weep on the couch. That was my
Oh.
writing process. It worked real good, actually.
Yeah. Onion Knight says, "What a tragedy."
There we
Uh,
go. I land back. There. Pretty happy with this. I hope Spike is happy with this. Do some promo soon for this project.
yeah. I hope it does well.
Well,
I hope
I hope so
like
too.
Iron Circus can maybe fund some other people's anthologies.
Yeah.
Like this becomes like a regular thing.
Yeah, I think that'd be really
Taking
cool.
my cautionary fable model and putting it to other people's stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's about as far as I got for tonight. I think I'm gonna leave it there. Go get myself
I'm
some water because
almost
I am
done with my
parched.
page. I'm
Sweet.
almost done with my page. I just gotta do these stairs. There's a very bad X-Men comic I read one time
Yep.
where it was the villain breaks into the X Mansion when Professor Xavier's alone. And he does this whole big monologue, and then he says, like, and now Professor Xavier meets his ultimate enemy, the stairs, and he pushes Xavier down the stairs. And I'm like, that is a dumb, horrible joke. Uh,
Yep. Yep.
but it was just so much dramatic build up.
Bye. Alrighty, everybody. Well, I think I'm gonna head out here.
Yeah.
Thank you all for
Thanks
joining us
everyone
tonight.
for yeah.
Let's
Thanks
sometimes zoom
everyone
in.
for joining. We'll we stream every week Tuesdays
Yep.
from 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I also stream at that time tomorrow on Wednesdays and chat with my pal Joe. So you can find me at my website, kelmcdonald.com, or on Twitch at kelmcdonald.
Sweet. And I will also be streaming tomorrow night. I do my brand new 5e actual play game called Strange Magic. You can check us out at twitch.tv/PT Adventurers, like part-time adventurers, which is what it's short for. That should be fun. We were having a sleepover at a hotel for our third game. I wonder what we'll do this time. And you can find me at twitch.tv/wheregeekcomics or at wheregeekcomic.com. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye. Varlet is said after thinking about time zones for a second, I realized it's 1 a.m. Oops. Have a good
Oops.
one. Good night, Varlets.
Go to bed. That's late.
That is late. You should get some sleep.
Hope
Have
everybody
a good
has
one,
a good sleep.
everybody.
We'll talk to y'all
Yeah.
later. Bye.
Bye.